hmm
So yeah.
But I've often wondered why we are willing to recognize that women have nevuah and that Abraham had to listen to Sarah, and all through our history as recorded in Bereshit, but the women weren't smart enough to expound on Torah even in those days.
hmm
It's
Okay. I mean,
just,
it's a legitimate question. That's for a different time, but it's a
yeah.
good question. Yeah. I have a shir I've given. It's called Women in Tanakh, and it shows that
hmm
almost literally every single story in Tanakh where the man is in the front, the
hmm
woman's always been pulling the strings from behind in the good way, and sometimes
mm
not in a good way, been running the show.
But,
So yeah, there's plenty
hmm
of stuff out there.
yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay. Let's take a look at the Mishnah, and we'll start to see and understand a little bit more now about what it is Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah's experience made him. Oh, I should put my thing back on, I guess. You'd think this is the first day I'm doing this. Let's try again. Okay. Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah's experience is very much living in this Mishnah. You could look along in the English. I'll translate, of course. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer. This is Mishnah 17 or 21, 22, depending on your printing. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer. Im ein Torah, ein derech eretz. If there's no Torah, there's no derech eretz. So for right now, I'm just going to leave this as the general understanding of derech eretz, meaning just um, good conduct or being polite. Just leave it like that, even though it's different than that. Imein derech eretz ein Torah. If there's no derech eretz, there's no Torah. This is directly in my head, directly related to this event that happened in the Beit Midrash. That how can you be in a position of teaching Torah and all that and not show common decency? Remember, everyone witnessed, including Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, witnessed when Rabbi Gamliel made Rabbi Yeshua just stand and wait there, like just stand up, like whatever, a, a golem, as they say, in the middle of the Beit Midrash. Well, he just continues teaching. Then he has three more twins. Imein chokhmah ein yirah. If there's no wisdom, there is no fear of God. Imein yirah ein chokhmah. But if there's no fear of God or awe of God, there's no wisdom. Imein bina. If there is no understanding, ein da'at. There is no knowledge. Imein da'at ein bina, and vice versa. Final statement: Imein Torah, imein kemach ein Torah, imein Torah ein kemach. If there is no kemach, which means flour, but a person doesn't make a parnasa, they don't make a living wage, then there's no Torah. If there's no Torah, then a person won't make a living wage. Okay, so these are the first statements of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that are very much, I believe, as a result of the events in that Beit Midrash. I can't say, oh my gosh, he's slamming Rabbi Gamliel, but it's a message. It's a message to everybody. Let's see the second half of the mission, which we will not discuss at all today. The second half says as follows, because some of your printings may actually have this in two parts. Now he talked about chokhmah. We're going to talk about these different nuanced differences of the meanings of these words shortly. A person who's got tremendous amounts of knowledge, but very little amount of actual putting into practice. Lamahu domeh, what's he comparable to? Le'ilan she'anafav merubim v'shorashav mu'atim. To someone who has a huge tree with lots of branches, but the roots that go into the ground, they're very little. Ruach ba'a, the wind comes along, v'okarton easily uproots the tree, v'hofachto panav, and turns it over on its face. Shneimar, it says in Yirmiyahu, v'yakar ba'alava v'lo yira ki avot tov v'shachan charerim b'midbar eretz neicha v'lo teshev. In English, he shall be like a bush in the desert, which does not sense the coming of good. It is set in the scorched places of the wilderness in a barren land without inhabitant. Avol kol shema'asav merubim mechochmato. Person has X amount of knowledge, but their actions are so much greater even than their knowledge. Let's say, for example, a person understands what Gemilut Chasadim is. They understand what it means to do chesed. They understand about putting on tefillin. They understand basic. But the amount of chesed they do and how they put on the tefillin, how is even PLF, 1,000 times more than their knowledge. That kind of person, the Mahu Domeh, To whom, what is he comparable to? To a person, to a tree, whose branches are very few, but its roots are very deep and strong. Even if all the winds of the world come and blow it, they don't blow it out of its place. English, he shall be like a tree planted by waters, sending forth its roots by a stream. It does not sense the coming of heat. Its leaves are ever fresh. It has no care in a year of drought. It does not cease to yield fruit. If you've ever been involved with any kind of planting of trees, and you know how important it is about the amount of the earth that has to be packed in and the amount of the roots that go into the ground. And sometimes when a tree starts to die off, they're easily pushed over. Very often it's happened, the roots are dying off, whatever else might be happening there, and causing all kinds of problems. So this is the second half of the Mishnah has to do with chokhmah, or wisdom, versus or in comparison to a person's actual putting into practice. Okay, so that's what this Mishnah is about. And again, you can hear the echo almost of Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, this whole event. So by the way, so from this point on, next time you sit Bezrat Hashem at the Seder, and you hear Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, "I am like 70 years old," now you know a little bit more about the background to the story if you didn't know it before. So let's talk a little bit about this Mishnah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah mentions, as I say, 4 pairs in our Mishnah: Torah and Derech Eretz, one without the other. Can't have this without that, that without this. Chokhmah and Yirah, wisdom and awe, fear of Hashem. Da'at and Bina, knowledge and insight. And again, these words seem so similar. Remember, Chabad, Chokhmah, Bina, Da'at. I'm just going to translate as wisdom, insight, and knowledge, which again, they sound somewhat similar, but we'll talk about. And then the last one, Torah and Kemach, or Parnasah. That without Torah, you can't have Parnasah. Without Parnasah, you can't have Torah. In each of these pairs, it appears to be a catch-22 situation, though, because it says if there's no Torah, there's no Derech Eretz, meaning that whoever wants to attain Derech Eretz, and I haven't really defined what Derech Eretz is yet, has to first acquire the knowledge of Torah. But since the meaning of the words of the Mishnah are there is no there, because it means without the Torah there's no Derech Eretz. But it says if there's no Derech Eretz, there's no Torah. It means that one is the condition for the other. In other words, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? I can't have Torah without Derech Eretz, so I need Derech Eretz to learn Torah. But without Torah, I can't have Derech Eretz, so I need the Torah. So which is it? So obviously, it shouldn't be so. It's not so obvious. But the commentators basically tell us that we're talking about, as far as a practical idea, it's not about do you start with Torah and then work on Derech Eretz, or start with Derech Eretz and work on Torah. The idea being that you have a shiluv, you have a combination. That the Rambam tells us that each one of these 2 pairs, each one is important. You can't have one without the other, but it does not mean you work on only this to achieve that or that to achieve this. They have to happen concurrently, that they feed off of each other, for lack of a better term right now, and they help each other. When you grow in Torah, you should be growing in Derech Eretz. When you grow in Derech Eretz, you should be growing in Torah. They're not inseparable. They're not like, okay, I'm going to take Psych 101, then I'm going to take Psych 102, then I'll take a graduate level course. It doesn't work that way. They have to happen in some form of combination. And it doesn't mean 50-50 either. There's no such thing. It's so that every single stage, one has to be able to be working on all these aspects. So far, what we've been able to see is that we have a series of 4 different pairs, each one interlinked to each other. The first two items, the second 2, third, the fourth. But we need to first also understand what is Derech Eretz. So Derech Eretz we use colloquially to mean nimusim or manners. He just doesn't have nice, good derech eretz. He doesn't know you're supposed to stand up, give someone your seat. Those kind of things. That's generally what we use the term for. But it's definitely much broader than that as well. I'm going to read an expression I came across. I don't remember if it was the Rambam. It might have been. I just don't remember. It's the word derech eretz is a shem kolel lehitnahagut tovot ulemidot tovot. The word derech eretz, that phrase, is a general term that includes the way that the acting properly and having good midot. It's more than just, okay, you stand up for somebody when you have to give the seat or hold the door for somebody. It's much more encompassing. It's about how you act in this world. We're not talking about, did you learn? We're not talking about, did you give tzedakah? We're talking about how you are as a human being, as a person, as a mensch, as a ben adam. The word derech eretz, the word derech means a way, a path. I'm going on a derech. We have the expression nowadays, OTD, off the derech. Parenthetically, it's a great line. I'm sure you've all heard it already years ago. I wish I had said it. How do you expect our kids to stay on the derech when they keep making the derech narrower and narrower and narrower? Which is sadly very true. In any case, so the word derech means it's a path. Derech eretz literally means the path or the way of the world. But the indication is if I'm going to go on a derech, what does it say? Lahavdil. Let's say when you in ways, bo netze la derech. What does the derech mean? You have a yad. Yad is the Hebrew word for a destination. I punch in. I want to go to Tel Aviv University. Punch that in. Bo netze la derech. Good. So you're going on the derech, and there's certain ways and places you're supposed to go, certain places that you're not supposed to go. It weighs. Oh, by the way, ways is a wonderful example of improvement and finding your way through this world in the Torah way. It tells you, zehirut rechev netzar b'shulei hakvish. Be careful because 100 meters from now there's a truck stuck on the road. It's something that may distract you, or maybe it's a danger you have to be aware of. And it says get off at this exit. Now you missed the exit. Now it has to do recalculating, right? So all these things, but it's for one purpose. And what's that purpose? To get to your destination, in this case, Tel Aviv University. So if I get in the car and I put into Waze that I want to go to Tel Aviv University, and I start from here driving south towards Eilat, it's going to be very angry at me. It's not going to like me. It's going to keep telling me to turn around and go the other way. And so I'm off the derech. I'm not going where I'm supposed to go, but it's reversible. It's correctable. And how do I get corrected? It's a path like an intention or a she'ifa, what we aspire to, a process. I'm going to read what Susie just wrote. Thank you in the chat. It's a path like an intention or she'ifa, this aspiration for something. I just lost it just a minute. That we aspire to, or a process. Absolutely correct. So when we keep that in mind, in this world we have a path, we have a derech. We have actually a couple of psukim that the Torah tells us in Tanakh. Let me just get that on the screen. There's many. I'm just going to show you a couple. Okay, make this a little bigger. Pasuk v'izavta et him. You should warn them. Et hachukim ve'et hatorot. The rules and Torot. By the way, the word Torah means lehorot, to teach. So when you say Elah Torah, means these are the rules of something. V'hodata lahem. You should let them know et haderech yelchu bach. Et ha'ma'aseh sheyasu. That you should tell them. Moshe is told by Hashem. You should tell them what path to go down, what way they should go, and the actions that they are supposed to take. So in other words, there's two parts here. One is the derech eretz, the way of the world, meaning what path are they supposed to go down? And in addition to that, when they go down that path as the good person, the asita yashar v'atov, they do the right thing in this world, etc., and they have the right midot, and they have the right nahaguyot, the right way they comport themselves. There's also still the ma'asim. We saw at the beginning of Mesilat Yesharim that many people think, as long as I'm a good person, I treat people nicely and I get tzedakah here and there, and I'm nice to my mom and dad, and I do this for my neighbors, that's sufficient. It's nice, but it's nowhere near sufficient. Imagine a person goes to a doctor God forbid they're sick with something serious. And the doctor said, they take the little hammer, they check the reflexes of the knees, and they take their temperature. Said, well, you know what? You look pretty good. Doctor, what are you talking about? I got this and this and this and this. Okay, it's fine. As long as your knees are good with the little hammer reflex, and you should be fine. It doesn't work that way in medicine. It doesn't work that way in our spiritual lives either. The other pasuk down here. This is when Shlomo HaMelech is opening up the Beit HaKnesset, the Beit HaMikdash for the first time. And he gives this long tefillah. And he's talking to Hashem. And he says to Hashem, you shall hear in the heaven. And you will forgive your servants, your people Israel. Because you have shown them the proper derech, the path down which to walk. Meaning that the Torah, in a number of places, and Navi, and also in a number of places, uses the expression of derech, meaning the idea of a path down which to walk, the proper path down which to walk. We have, there is in the Gush, I've been there a few times, I'm sure some of you as well. You go on a path called Derech Avot, which we believe Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov walked on this path. We want to go b'darkei avotenu. We want to go the paths of our forefathers. Again, what does that mean? Again, it doesn't, derech eretz does mean colloquially good manners, but it means to go down the right path in life. So now we say, im ein Torah ein derech eretz. If you don't know what to do properly, and we'll get more into this next week, Bezrat Hashem, then how are you going to know what path to go down? It's not just that you can't learn Torah properly if you don't have good manners. Doesn't mean that. It means without the Torah, you're not going to know the derech. But on the other hand, if you don't have proper derech eretz, you don't also have the proper way to act. You don't know where you're going. Or you also don't have proper hitnahaguyot. You don't act like a proper way. Where's your Torah? There's a story. It was with, not the Belzer Rebbe. I forgot which. It will come to me. I forgot. It's a famous story. It's famous. I forgot which Rebbe. Let's just say the Rebbe X. So on a tish, he was holding a tish where the Hasidim come and they sit and they sing and they eat. So a man came in who was clean shaven, and he wanted to approach the Rebbe and ask him a question. So one of the Hasidim said to the Rebbe, "This is terrible because the chutzpah, clean shaven to come in, no beard, no anything." The Rebbe said to him, how's he answer? He said, in 120 years, that Jew is going to go up to Hashem, and Hashem's going to say to him, Jew, where's your beard? And he's going to say to you, the Chassid was making fun of him, beard, where's your Jew? And that is exactly what this means. Without Torah, you can have derech eretz. Without derech eretz, you can have Torah. This is truly what that means. I'll have to remember which Rebbe that was. In the meantime, we'll pick it up here next week, Bezrat Hashem. Lots to talk about still in this Mishnah, and have a wonderful day, and try and stay cool. By Shabbat, we're supposed to cool down to a decent temperature. And before you know it, we'll be saying, oh, it's so chilly outside and wet, Baruch Hashem. All right, have a great day, everybody.